Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 165. In this episode, we are going to talk about 10 ways to combat holiday stress. Now, if you don't think it's a big deal, it definitely can kind of seep in on the sides or seep in when we don't expect it. And also, sometimes family time can be stressful, right? So, absolutely jump in. Let's talk about 10 ways to combat the holiday stress, because 'tis the season to be stressed out, right? But that doesn't have to be you and me. All right, let's get to the episode. Welcome to Ordinary to Badass. Whether you're ordinary or badass, I am so glad you're here. Today, we're going to talk about 10 ways you can combat the holiday stress. I think that it's important that we focus on this and that we talk about this a little bit. Because if we're not intentional about being joyful during this time of year, it can completely catch up on us, or like the stress can catch up on us, or before we know it, this holiday's over and we didn't get to experience any joy, right? Because we were too busy being stressed out and going from thing to thing and trying to make sure everything was perfect. This year, screw being perfect. Let's just enjoy it. All right. Let's get to it. 10 reasons why, or 10 ways to combat holiday stress. The first is take time off of work. If you are at all able to, don't be afraid to take some time off work. Did you know that 56% of people say that work is their biggest source of stress during the holiday season? That was crazy to me. Work, 56%. I guess my natural inclination was that the biggest source of stress would be family, right? Or preparing for like holiday meals with family and holiday gatherings, and then also trying to get presents and everything wrapped and under the tree and everything perfect. And so I thought that maybe finances or families might be the source of stress, but actually it is work. So if you're feeling stressed, or you know that you typically start to get a little bit stressed out around the holidays, consider taking some time off work. Or maybe, hey, every Thursday I'm going to take off 2 hours early of work, or I'm going to take off 4 hours early of work. If you're allowed to do that and you have that flexibility or that time built up, why not do it? Or maybe you just take a day off. If you're able to take a day off like the week before a holiday, okay, maybe you do that. So then you can get a little bit of time to catch up. And what if you don't have any time to take off work? Then what? What should you do? Just be stressed and miserable during the holiday season? Nope. This is where you're really going to have to be intentional about your time at work and try to find joy. Try to create joy in your environment. If you're in an office type environment, try to do things that will like spark joy for you. Or where during your day do you have time to relax or to get a little bit of peace of mind? If something stresses you out when you're at work, can you take 5 minutes? Can you go in like an office and shut the door? Or go into a conference room or something like that and just sit there for a minute and shut the door and gather yourself? Typically, people are allowed breaks, right? So on a break, maybe there's something you can do to relax yourself, to even it out a little bit. Or you could go for a walk during your break or during your lunch. Maybe you go for a walk outside, a short little walk. And if you don't typically wear walking shoes or shoes that are comfortable walking in, maybe you just bring those for your lunch, right? I know I've done that before. and it's just something to clear your brain. Or are you somebody that chronically does not take a lunch? You just power through and work right through your lunch hour? Oh my gosh, if that's you, I can relate. I have done that for a long, long time, and just probably in the last 2 years. I've made a point like, nope, I'm taking a lunch. I am absolutely going to take a lunch. And it makes a world of difference because it just kind of creates a space in your day and gives you time to relax. And don't eat your lunch at your desk. Try not to do that. I know we've all done these things at certain times probably, but it's like, be intentional. Try not to eat your lunch at your desk. Go eat with your coworkers or get out of the office for a little bit and eat your lunch. But I think intentionality here and coming up with a plan is huge. It's such a game changer. All right. The second way that you can combat holiday stress is to manage your finances. It is so hard, or can be so hard, to manage your finances during this season. I know you have a big heart and you want to be able to get stuff for your loved ones. There's nothing to say you can't do that. It's just maybe you have to be more intentional about it or more thoughtful. Sometimes a thoughtful gift that costs less is worth more, right? So just take the extra time and think about what you're going to get people. Or maybe you do have to do some searching and you look for some good holiday deals. That's fine. But I think that thoughtfulness and attention really can help some of that financial burden. And you get creative. And I'm saying this because when I was paying off debt and I had paid off that $106,000 in 2 years, during that time, I really was not going over like $30 for a gift. And I was trying to cut everything I possibly could down because I didn't have the money to do anything else. And so I really had to take time and think like, okay, what is this person like? What are the things that they like? And take a lot of time to think about it and then be very intentional about the gift. And then if you set a price point for each person, don't go over it. Like, try your best to stick with that price point. This not only helps like pre-holiday stress, but it also helps post-holiday stress. Because what happens oftentimes after the holidays? It's like the holiday blues or the post-holiday blues because you have this debt remaining. So if you can try to manage your finances or set a cap on your spending for Christmas, maybe you don't say $30 for each person, but you say, okay, I am gonna not spend more than X amount of dollars this year for Christmas or for the holidays. And then that helps you because you know what you're getting into, or it gives you an amount and you decide that you're not going to go over that amount. And that will probably result in less stress for you after the holidays as well. The hard part for me always comes when I leave room for interpretation, when I don't set a boundary for what I'm going to spend, and then I feel guilty, or I'm like, oh, I could just go $20 over, or I could just do this. And then, it leaves a debate in my head, and then it takes longer to make a decision. So sometimes just setting that financial boundary of what you're going to spend for Christmas or for the holidays, it's like, okay, that kind of helps because it takes some of the decision making out. You're like, nope, I already made this decision. I'm staying under this dollar amount. So apparently I cannot talk. I've got to make it work. All right. The third reason, or the third way to combat stress is to find joy in small ways. I am working on this so hard because I've previously been a goal setter and I've always attributed stuff to setting goals, but then I forget to enjoy the process along the way to get to my goal. And I think that happens a lot of ways in life. We forget to find the joy in the everyday, or forget to find the joy in the small things. And so how can you have joy today? What things light you up and what things bring you joy? And I've talked about this on this podcast before, but it's really become something that I'm passionate about and really try to seek and find. So for me, one of the things that brings me joy is having dance parties. It's like I suck at singing, I suck at dancing, but you know what? It makes me happy to have a dang dance party. So during the month of December, I'm going to be extra intentional about listening to songs that light me up and that make me want to dance, right? And that make me happy and just feel joy. So look for small ways in your day, small things that you can do to help find joy. All right. Fourth thing to combat holiday stress is to be present. Be present in the now. Every day, try to just take some time to be present. Just notice the things that are going on in your day and in your life. My friend Lex Latkovski was on the podcast before, and I believe the title was End Procrastination Now. But he was a Buddhist monk and lived in a monastery for a year. A year! Can you believe that? And he had so many great tips about being present in the now. So I would definitely recommend that you go back and listen to that episode because it was so good. But something he had said was, when you're doing laundry, like just pay attention as you pick up each clothes or pick up the clothes, each article you pick up and throw it in the washer. Just kind of be present to your movement and to putting it in the washer and to pouring the detergent into the laundry or into the wash machine. And then the sound of the wash machine when you start it, and just be present to the details of the now. So this is also something that I'd say I've definitely been working on. And it's so funny because now I notice things that I wouldn't have necessarily noticed before. So here's an example. Is one morning I was in the laundry room trying to find something to wear for work, right? So I'm just sitting there pulling stuff out of the dryer, trying to find something to wear. And then I had a warm towel and I had pulled it out so I could see what else was in the dryer. And then I kind of put the towel around me and I'm like, oh my gosh, that feels so good. And before I knew it, I kept pulling out the towels and I had like 4 towels on me. And just like the heat felt so good to me. And then I remembered as a kid, my mom used to do that. Like when she would do laundry and try to be folding it, say, on the couch, and we were around, like she'd be like, oh, doesn't this feel good? And kind of put some, like the warm laundry against our skin. And so that brought me joy. I was merely just looking for something to wear for work, but then like the warm laundry brought me a feeling of joy. Yes, it reminded me of my childhood, but it was just like, oh, that just feels so good. That just feels so good and so warm. I want more. So I probably sat there for a couple minutes, just like enjoying the moment of having the warmth of the towels on me. And that's just a simple thing, right? So embrace the now. Embrace the simple things of the now. Okay, the 5th way to combat holiday stress is self-care. I know life is busy right now and you have a to-do list that's a mile long, but it is more important now than ever to focus on your self-care. Again, it's going to come down to intentionality, to really being intentional about taking care of yourself. So this could mean taking a walk, getting outdoors, or maybe you take a bath and just delight in the joy of being in the bath and having some alone time. Or this could mean going to therapy, right? Going to therapy is definitely an act of self-care. And this is the season of stress and family drama and all that stuff. So any way that you can incorporate self-care into your day, that will help you combat that stress. And maybe that's just a cup of hot chocolate, right? Or a cup of apple cider, because that feels so holiday-ish, but also it's kind of warming to the soul. So don't be afraid to do things that make you feel good. All right. Number 6, exercise, exercise, exercise. We tend to throw out exercise during the holidays, especially the closer that it gets to the new year. Because it's like, oh, I'll start over on the new year. I'll hit it hard on the new year. But you know what? It's not about the new year. It's about the now. We already talked about like being present in the now. But also taking action for the things that you want now. Life isn't a foregone conclusion. Like how long you get to live, you don't know. How long I get to live, I don't know. So I might as well do it in the now. And it doesn't have to be some crazy hard or crazy long workout. It just has to be some form of exercise. I would say 15 minutes, get a minimum of 15 minutes in, and it could just be walking around your block, right? But just some form of exercise. And then when come January 1st, you're not going to feel like you're so far behind the eight ball because at least you're doing something along the way, right? It's always harder to start when you have completely stopped. So don't stop. Like exercise is huge. I'll tell you, I'm an all or nothing girl. Sometimes it's hard for me. But I 100% notice the difference in my mental health and my stress levels when I'm exercising versus when I'm not exercising. So find a way to squeeze in that 15-minute exercise or that 15-minute walk and do something you enjoy. If running isn't your thing, then go swimming or go to a yoga class. Do something that makes you happy or that you don't absolutely hate, right? All right. Number 7, meditate for 2 to 5 minutes. And I would suggest that you do this in the morning or in the evening. Typically, we get the most out of it when it's really early in the morning or the evening before you go to sleep. Now, meditating doesn't have to be such a serious thing. For a long time, I thought that meditating meant I had to quiet my mind, silence my mind, and I couldn't think anything. And so I would always be like, back to center, back to center. Anytime I caught myself with my mind wandering, I would say back to center. It doesn't even have to be that serious. You can just meditate how it works for you. You can just sit there and listen to your thoughts. Sometimes we need an excuse because we ignore all the thoughts that are in our head. And so just merely listening to ourselves and getting in touch with how we're feeling without trying to change those things, then that's a good thing, right? Listen to yourself. Listen to what you're trying to tell yourself. That's huge, huge. So try to schedule this at a quiet time of day when not a lot of people or a lot of family members are around. So get up a little bit early or after maybe the kids go to bed at night, then do it then. But definitely life-changing is meditation. And so I would absolutely recommend it. And if you're like, nope, can't do it, won't do it, I can't meditate, then just do it for 2 minutes. Or consider journaling. There's something called the morning pages. And of course, Julia Cameron, there we go. It's Julia Cameron that came up with the morning pages. And she wrote a book called The Artist's Way, along with some other books. But she suggests that when you wake up in the morning, you have a notebook just for your thoughts. And you sit down and you write at least 500 words and just of all of the thoughts that come to your head. Like, I'm so mad at my spouse right now. I'm so mad at my brother right now. People at work are really pissing me off. Or just any random thing that comes into your head, do that little brain dump, write it down, at least 500 words, or just keep going. And then when you don't know what to say anymore, say, I don't know what to say. Nothing is coming to my head. Like just whatever you're thinking in your head, write that down. And then eventually more thoughts start to come. But meditation, journaling, those absolutely will help you to ease that stress a bit. All right. Number 8, the 8th way to combat holiday stress. Schedule things in your calendar. It's so easy to not take the time for self-care or to not take the time to be present with your family or to do certain things. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of the holidays, right? So schedule things in. If you need time to go get your nails done, fine, put that in your schedule. If you need time to do your journaling in the morning or your meditation in the morning, put that in your schedule. We're more likely to do it when we actually see it in our schedule. And if you have a family scheduler, cool. then your family members will see it or your spouse will see it, and they won't try to schedule you for something because they see, oh, she's working out at that time, or she's doing shopping at that time, or whatever it is, she's cooking dinner at that time. Don't be afraid to put things in your schedule. Okay, number 9, this is kind of a big one. Set boundaries with your family. It can be so hard to set boundaries with family, but necessary, right? Family members start coming into town and everybody has different expectations about what should be done or how often everybody should be getting together or what you're going to do. And very easily you fall back into your old traps, like your childhood traps, things you guys did as children. You do those same things as adults. And so that has to change, right? Or, well, it doesn't have to. You can continue to be stressed. That's an option. You have a choice in it a lot of times. But you can also just say, hey, I'm available on Monday and Wednesday from this time to this time. Or yes, we will show up to that event, but we will only be there for 2 hours. But don't be afraid to set boundaries. If something really is not working for you, okay, fine. Then how can you get rid of that thing? Or how can you minimize that thing? Or that event that really triggers you or bothers you? You don't have to do everything just because it's the holidays. So don't be afraid to set boundaries. And this could even be with your spouse or your children. You could have to set boundaries with them. Or expectations, have an expectations conversation, right? Because we all have different expectations going into the holidays. And if it's not talked about ahead of time, then, it can just lead to a lot of stress. So that's a big one. Definitely set boundaries with your family. You likely know where it is that you need to set boundaries. So have that tough conversation ahead of time and save yourself a lot of stress in the long run. All right. The 10th and final way to combat stress during the holiday season. This one, I want you to think about the top 5 things that stress you out during the holidays. What are those things that always stress you out every single year? Like, is it making a holiday meal? Is it hosting something? Is it going to somebody's house and then staying there for 10 hours? What are the top 5 things that stress you out? Or is it getting everything done and all the presents wrapped maybe for the holidays or for Christmas? Really sit down and think about it and then write down 5 things that stress you out. Once you do that, then I want you to think, how can you delegate that to someone else? Nobody says you have to do it. And if you do have to do it, how can you minimize the stress on you? How can you get somebody else to help you? Or is there a way you can change it? Maybe you can pivot and do something different this year. And sometimes if you don't speak up and tell the people around you, they might not know that you hate it, or they might not know how much stress it causes you. So it's up to you to voice that. But sometimes we're creating our own suffering. We're creating our own problems. And it can be solved, not always, because life isn't all gumdrops and lollipops, but sometimes it can be solved by asking somebody else to do it, or asking somebody else for help, or by just speaking up and saying what that situation creates for you. So I'd really urge you to sit down and think about the top 5 things that stress you out during the holiday season. And then try to figure out ways that you can mitigate that or lower your stress. All right, let's do a quick recap. The first way to combat holiday stress is to take time off work. Second, manage your finances. Third, find joy in small ways. Fourth, be present. Fifth, self-care. 6, exercise regularly. 7, meditate, even if it's only for 2 to 5 minutes. 8, schedule things in your calendar. 9, set boundaries with family and friends. 10, figure out the top 5 things that stress you out during the holidays and how you can delegate that to somebody else or how you can minimize that stress. All right, there's the top 10 reasons. I hope that you found this valuable. I know December is going to be epic, and right around the corner is 2022, and I can't wait because big things are coming for you and me, and I'm just excited. I know that it's going to be epic. All right, with that, we'll end our show. To all the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.